and today in Mr. Anderson's and Miss Houghton's cooking show episode, we're going to learn how to make the maritime recipes of hardtack and plumduff. Hardtack is the simplest recipe you can make at sea or here at home.
What is hardtack? Imagine a recipe of only flour, water, and salt. No leavening to make it rise. Right, now stop imagining. That's what it is. It's baked fresh, and then baked again and again. No moisture left inside it. Dry. No, drier than dry. And hard. Hence the name. Inexpensive. Long-lasting. As old as the Egyptian army, hardtack was easy for voyages and hard on teeth. But why is it called hardtack? Tack is soldier slang for food. It was also called by other names, including cabin bread, pilot bread, brewis, sea biscuit, soda crackers, sea bread, ship's biscuit. Those were the nice names. It was also called dog biscuits, molar breakers, sheet iron, tooth dullers, armor plates in Germany, and worm castles. You can guess why.
Using the very basics of flour, water, and salt, you can make all your maritime cuisine dreams come true. But that doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy it. With our modern day appliances, we're going to set our oven for 350 degrees. Next, we take 1 cup of normal all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup of water, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. That's it. Then you're going to mix it. After 30 seconds of mixing, I'm done. That was easy. And now on this pan with parchment paper, although I could use aluminum foil or even wax paper, I'm going to pour this out onto the pan, and then I'm going to spread it out. And voila! Our hardtack, ready to go in the oven, has now been spread out for our viewing pleasure. As was mentioned already, hardtack does not have any leavening in it, which means there are no rising agents like yeast, or baking soda, or baking powder that cause it to rise. It's flat, as flat can be, and hard. It's about to become a lot harder. The oven is set for 350. So this bad boy is going in the oven. The hardtack is going to be baked for about 10 minutes, and then it will come out of the oven, whereupon we'll let it cool, and it will get baked again, and again. And why am I walking in circles? Tack kind of sounds like attack, and it's the kind of food that is so tough it could attack your teeth. That's how I like to remember it. Does it feel like 10 minutes to you? It does to me. Let's check and see. Oh yeah, it looks like the hardtack is ready to come out for the first time. I'm going to take this little guy over to a cutting board, where I am going to chop him up. And voila, they're ready to go back inside the oven, still set to 350. We're back in for another 10 minutes. Now we just have to wait another 10 minutes. It's been time. I'm going in. That hardtack is looking harder. Oh yeah.
Think on this. Why would sailors need it to be so dry and hard for long sea voyages?
Now it's good to keep in mind, hardtack is actually going to get harder the longer you let it cool. So I'm going to let this cool for a little while before I put it back inside the oven for another 10 minutes. Lets off a lot of the moisture that would otherwise go bad over months at sea. Looking at my non-existent watch, I can see, oh, it's been another 10 minutes. I'm going to put this back inside of the oven. This is the third time now. Well, can you believe it? It's been another 10 minutes. So I am going to pull this hardtack out of the oven once again right on cue. Look at these guys. I'm gonna let this cool before I try one. Are you fed up of being fed hardtack and don't want to get drunk on grog? Then I think this last recipe is all for you. It's called Plumduff, but don't be fooled by the name. It can be any sort of fruit, not just plums. Let's take a look.
Plumduff! Normal days, you get to eat a porridge oatmeal mix, or hardtack, maybe salted pork. But on random other days, when you're well-behaved sailors, you get to eat something delicious at sea. It's basically whatever fruit you have mixed with grain and water, like making a dessert of all the leftovers in your fridge. Here's how to make it. Ingredients.
All right, first off, we're gonna need some all-purpose flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, shortening, sugar, raisins, and water. Water. You'll notice this recipe is called Plumduff because commonly you could find plums in several different tropical locations and use said fruit, but don't be fooled. Any fruit you find, like apples, pears, or any other assortment of fruit. For today's purposes, we're going to use raisins. This is a lot of fun. First, I'm going to add 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This is a mess. You know what I need is an apron. It's cooking show episode apron time. Next we have 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and then just a pinch of salt, basically what you can put between your thumb and forefinger. And now comes 1/4 cup of shortening. Now when we get to shortening, we actually have a lot of choices. Sure, we could use the standard vegetable oil, or we have the option of using butter, or even margarine. But I'm going to use my favorite option, which is applesauce, as my favorite kind of healthy shortening. This also alleviates the need to put in as much sugar since applesauce has sugar in it already. 1/4 cup sugar. Next up is raisins. And as every chef knows, the best part about cooking show episodes is you have to sample the food. Nobody trusts a skinny chef. So here goes 2/3 cup of raisins. Yummy. Oh, what am I thinking about? You know, every chef should not be limited by the recipe he uses. What better way to understand the fruits of failure leading to success than by trying something out of the box outside of the recipe? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add some apples and pears. Why, here's an apple and a pear I'm gonna add to the recipe. Let's chop these guys up in less than 10 seconds. Ready? Go! All right, time to add these apples and pears. And now 2/3 of a cup of water. Now it's time for mixing. Remember, the great thing about Plumduff is that really sailors could use whatever they found on tropical islands around the ocean to be able to make their specialty dessert. So you don't have to have raisins or plums or apples or pears. You can use whatever you can find. Sweet, but not citrus type tastes. Now that that's all done, and I've got my Plumduff dough ready to go, I can remember I don't have to follow this recipe exactly, and I could add things that sailors could only dream about during the age of exploration and colonization, and that is cinnamon. I could add cloves or nutmeg. I could add ginger. And because we don't have a bag that we would then boil inside of a pot as the original recipe uses, Instead, we're going to use just a normal kitchen 8 by 8 inch pan to house our little delicacy and put it inside the oven. To spray this bad boy down, I could use some aerosol can spray, but I don't like the smell of it, so instead I'm going to use this nice little bottle which has olive oil and water inside. And now I can make sure this is ready to go for a non-stick surface for my Plumduff. All right. We're setting this culinary cruise ship out to sea. Look at this Plumduff. Look at it. And because we're not going to be using a bag to plunge into a boiling pot of water, which was the maritime way hundreds of years ago, instead, we're going to toss it inside of our oven at a nice 350 degrees and leave it there for about 25 minutes. I do believe it is time to put this Plumduff inside the oven. Well, it's been 25 minutes, so let's take a look at this beautiful Plumduff coming out of the oven. As beautiful a fruitcake baked at sea I've ever seen. Mwah. We're going to give that Plumduff time to cool. It will go great with whipped cream or ice cream or many other different kinds of syrupy complements to any kind of welcome dessert. You can imagine how excited sailors would be. In the meantime, I'm going to enjoy some of this hardtack. How delicious. This recipe is sure hard to quit. Now, of course, you have to give it time to cool, which I have done. So right now I've just cut myself a piece of Plumduff, and I'm about to partake of it. This, of course, is everyone's favorite part, myself included, sampling the product. That is good. Woo. Wow, that's some good stuff. That was Plumduff-licious. So, I'm Mr. Anderson. For me and Miss Houghton, thank you for tuning in for our cooking show episode, and we'll see you guys later. Look at me, look at me. I'm rich in vitamin C. Oh, just break a tooth? Whoa.